Hi everyone. I had a couple people that asked me about a few questions on the Excel practice test, so I wanted to go through the answers prior to people taking the real test. So the one that I had a couple questions on is use cell references, enter a formula in B6 to calculate monthly payments. So that's the key right there. We're going to use the PMT function because the PMT tells me the payments. So for monthly payments for the loan described in this worksheet, omit the optional argument, use a negative value for the PV argument. So the first thing you have to do is determine what function you're going to do. And the key there is you're trying to figure out payments. So that's the PMT. So I'm going to use the dialog boxes to work through this. So formulas, this is a financial because it's about payments. But if you're not sure, you can always search for it and do all and it'll find what category. So I'm going to do financial and then I'm going to select PMT. It's going to bring up my function argument screen. So if you notice, these three are in bold: rate, NPER, and PV. Those are required elements in the function. You must supply rate, number of periods, and the present value. Future value and type are not bold, therefore they're not required necessarily. You have to look at what the circumstances is. So the first thing is I want to select the rate. So I'm going to look here and figure out where my interest rate is. So my interest rate is in here in B3. So I'm going to click on that, but I want you to notice that this says projected annual interest rate. So this 9% is an annual rate. This function requires that you put the interest rate for the period. So that would be most of the time, probably 99% of the time, you're going to take that annual interest rate and divide it by 12 because you want the periodic rate. So right here in this rate box, I'm going to do divide by 12. And so that would give me my annualized rate. So that would be your annual rate divided by how many times, how many periods there are in the year. So if you did quarterly payments, you would divide by 4, but really most of the time you divide by 12 because there's 12 months in a year and you usually pay once a month. Okay, so the next area is the number of payments, right? So here's the other thing you need to watch. When you're looking at number of payments, so that would be 60. So this is given to me actually in the number of payments, 60. So the thing here you want to watch is if you're given the value in number of years, like number of years of loan or something like that, you would have to multiply that years by how many periods there are in a year, or most of the time it would be 12. So if you're given the length of the loan in years, you multiply by 12, sorry. So you divide the interest rate, the annual interest rate, by 12 to get your periodic rate. You multiply the the number of payments if it's given to you in a year. This one is actually given to me in, I'm going to write 60 checks, right? I'm going to pay this thing 60 times, so I don't have to do anything with it. The present value is just a fancy word for the amount that you're borrowing, the loan amount, right? But before I do that, I want to look up here and it says use a negative amount or a negative value for the PV argument. Because when you do a payment, the answer is shown as a negative, and almost always you want that number to be shown as a positive. So you just reverse the sign on the loan amount. So I'm going to actually type a minus sign in the PV, click on the amount that's being borrowed, and then omit the optional argument. So I don't need to do the future value or the type. I can click on OK, and I got that one correct. All right, so let's look at the next question that I had quite a bit. Oh, the VLOOKUP, it's this one here. So VLOOKUP is used when you have a piece of information, in this case this abbreviation, and I want to find out from this list, what does this mean, right? So I'm going to actually make this a little bigger. So there's a couple things First of all, this is telling you you need to use the lookup. Excuse me. So in my formula bar, I'm going to go to the lookup and reference group, and I'm going to find VLOOKUP. VLOOKUP and HLOOKUP work the same. It's just one's a vertical and one's a horizontal. But once again, when we look at this function argument, there's three parameters that you need to put in there that are required. You can tell that by the bold. There's one that's optional, and this is the one that tells you whether or not you're doing a range or whether you're doing an exact match. And this says be sure to require an exact match. So we will have to fill that last item in. So the first thing about this is the lookup value. So that's just saying, hey, what are you looking up? In this case, we're looking up this abbreviation ABCD. So for lookup value, I'm just going to click on that. So, that could be a part number, that could be a customer number, it could be whatever you're looking up in this table of information. And that's the part we're going to next, is what is the table name? Well, you can use abbreviation is already defined as the table. So I can just come in here and type abbreviation as the name. And I know that because the instructions are telling me that, right? Use the name abbreviation for the lookup table. Then the next piece that's required is the column index number. And the thing you want to remember about this is it doesn't have anything to do with what column it is in the worksheet. It has to do with what column it is within the lookup table. And this is what are we returning as the answer. So I'm looking up this value in this first column. What am I returning as the answer? Is it found in column 1? Is it found in column 2? Is it found in column 3? And so on of the lookup table. And the answer is column 2. So I'm going to put a 2 in here because I want to return this meaning, the stuff that's in the second column. And then the last piece is this range lookup. And so to find an exact match, you type in false because you're not doing a range lookup. That's false. You're not doing that. You're doing an exact. So I'm going to click on OK, and there it is. So let's see if there's any others that people... No, I think that was the two that I've gotten a lot of questions on. So, go ahead and reach out to me if you have questions, and don't forget to get the test done by the due date. All right. Thanks, guys.